I thought I was just the usual park ranger, taking one step after another, just a jobby, working the Vanderbilt Mansion National Historic Site, spitting facts and jawing with curious tourists. But in spite of appearances, today wasn't the usual walk in the park. And now, I find myself being braced by some wrong number goon in a dank basement of a dive. At first, I was certain it was the big sleep for me. This cat was just too far off the track. A hard number. He wants me to spill. He's putting the screws on me all right, and he's getting impatient.
Is this the same Vanderbilt that's responsible for the Biltmore? And how is Anderson Cooper involved?
The Biltmore was George Vanderbilt. The mansion in Hyde Park is Frederick, his older brother.
Who?
Frederick Vanderbilt, gentleman farmer, board member of the New York Central, president of Western Union, the first Vanderbilt to graduate from college, the only member of his generation to grow and maintain his fortune, that Frederick Vanderbilt. And do you mean Anderson Cooper, the news hawk? He's Frederick's great-grandnephew.
Wait, you said Hyde Park? Isn't that the Franklin D. Roosevelt estate?
No. The Roosevelt home is called Springwood. In 1895, Frederick and Louise Vanderbilt purchased one of the oldest continuously manicured properties in United States history. The Hyde Park Mansion is the third one in its spot, and they kept the title.
You better start squawking. Where's the cash?
Speaking generally, they spent it. It's almost a formula. The first generation makes the money, the third generation spends it. Get it through your skull! Sure, I work at the only Vanderbilt mansion in the National Park Service, but it's also the only Gilded Age mansion in the National Park Service. Our mission here concerns the culture the Vanderbilts thrived in. Even though the Vanderbilts were one of the wealthiest American families, members of society, enriched by their transportation empire, the story is bigger than the money, one Vanderbilt couple, or one significantly intact mansion. It's the Gilded Age, you mug! And where's my hat? A ranger can't go outside without their cover.
You might think you're the sardine's whiskers, the elephant's instep, the snake's hips, the flea's eyebrows, the canary's tusks, the best. But you're gonna tell me what I need to know, or you're zotzed, Ranger.
The Vanderbilts originally came from Holland. Cornelius Vanderbilt. They called him the Commodore. Big empire builder. Farm boy, born on Staten Island, 1794.
The grilling continued. I don't carry a heater. I'm not the law. But I have been called a wise head, lousy with the Gilded Age dope. It was going to take all my knowledge of the Vanderbilts to take the run out away from here, to lamb out, to take heel and toe while still sucking wind, to blow, to take a bunk, to breeze off, to get away.
Easy there, you big palooka. I'll tell you everything. So Samuel Clemens, or as you may know him, Mark Twain, coined the term originally Gilded Age to satirize DC elites. Alva Vanderbilt threw a fancy dress ball in 1883 for 1,200 people. They were all in one room. She certainly demonstrated to Carolyn Astor that she had arrived. Alva Vanderbilt is a fascinating person because she sold her daughter into a loveless marriage to the Duke of Marlborough, and then later is a huge proponent for women's rights. Crazy. Crazy. They're only a few miles apart. The distance between Fifth Avenue and the tenements was vast. Tycoons of the Industrial Revolution were often despised as robber barons. At other times, they were lionized. Some were amongst the most generous philanthropists ever. Most of them would shape the U.S. for generations to come. The lead architect of the Vanderbilt mansion in Hyde Park, New York, was Charles McKim. The same man, Charles McKim, was responsible for helping to build the White City in the 1893 Chicago World's Fair Expo. Nouveau Riche families, like the Vanderbilts, borrowed heavily from Old World aesthetics. It was like the American Renaissance. Architects, interior decorators are finally being treated as artists and celebrated instead of, just general contractors. One of the smaller Vanderbilt residences, Hyde Park still manages to have 54 rooms, over 6 stories with 22 fireplaces, 14 bathrooms, 10 guest rooms, and 8 skylights. Cantilevered Carnegie steel, I-beam construction.
Central heating, hot and cold running water, electricity, and flush toilets from day one. Day one!
That's a common misconception. Vanderbilt didn't die on the Titanic. Alfred Vanderbilt died on the Lusitania. It demonstrates for the whole world, and whether you're in first class or in steerage, we're all just mortal. Frederick and Louise, they'll always have Paris. They had a permanent residence there. So the park opened to the public in December of 1940, the 5th National Historic Site in U.S. history. Personal choices, efforts to showcase their success, and living within the highest standards of luxury, combined with significant tidal changes in the zeitgeist of the American populace. Oh! And we can't forget the socio-political and economic changes of the Progressive Era. All were contributing factors to the decline of the Vanderbilt dynasty. Well then.
On behalf of the National Park Service, this has been a Fire Aside chat, presented by the National Historic Sites in Hyde Park, New York. My friends, that, as they say, is history.